Within the quiet awareness of life, there is a simple truth often forgotten: the body is not a burden to be controlled, but a sacred vessel to be understood. When one eats with mindfulness, illness begins to loosen its grip, and clarity returns like morning light touching still water. There are 6 sacred principles of eating that guide the body back to balance, not through force but through gentle harmony with nature. The first principle is awareness before eating. Do not rush to fill the body as if it were empty without meaning. Pause. Observe the food before you. Notice its origin: the soil, the sun, the rain that shaped it. When gratitude is present, even a simple meal becomes medicine. Eating in awareness prevents excess and awakens natural discipline. The second principle is simplicity. The body heals not through complexity but through reduction of burden. When food is too heavy, too processed, or too artificial, the inner fire becomes weak. Simple grains, fresh vegetables, clean water, these restore the body's rhythm. Simplicity is not deprivation, it is purification. The third principle is moderation. The body is not healed by fullness but by balance. Eating until slightly satisfied rather than completely full allows digestion to remain strong and steady. Overeating clouds the mind and slows the life force. Moderation keeps energy flowing like a calm river rather than a flooded stream. The fourth principle is timing. Nature moves in cycles and the body follows them. Eating at regular peaceful times allows the internal systems to function without confusion. Late-night indulgence or irregular eating weakens inner harmony. When timing is respected, the body begins to trust its rhythm again. The fifth principle is mindfulness while eating. Each bite should be received with full attention. Chewing slowly, noticing flavor, texture, and warmth, this transforms food from mere consumption into healing practice. When the mind is present, digestion becomes more efficient and emotional stress begins to dissolve. The sixth principle is emotional purity. Food carries the state of mind in which it is consumed. Eating in anger, anxiety, or distraction disturbs the body's natural flow. Eating in calmness and gratitude allows healing energy to enter deeply. The mind is the unseen ingredient in every meal. When these 6 principles are lived with sincerity, the body does not merely survive, it begins to repair itself. Energy becomes lighter, sleep becomes deeper, and the mind becomes clearer. Healing is not found in excess, but in alignment with natural law. In this way, food becomes more than nourishment. It becomes a practice of returning to balance, step by step, breath by breath. Eat with full awareness and gratitude before eating. Pause and recognize the origin of the food, turning every meal into a mindful and healing experience. To eat with awareness and gratitude is to transform a simple act of survival into a sacred moment of healing. Most people eat without truly seeing what is placed before them. The mind is scattered, rushing ahead to the next task, while the body quietly receives whatever is given. In such unconsciousness, even the most nourishing food loses part of its power. Awareness begins by stopping this inner rush. When food is placed before you, allow yourself to become still for a moment. Observe it not as an object of desire, but as a gift of nature that has traveled through many hands, many elements, and many unseen forces to reach your plate. The grain grew from the soil, the water nourished it, the sun gave it strength, and time shaped it into form. Recognizing this chain of life creates a quiet respect within the heart. Gratitude is not merely a thought, it is a feeling that softens the mind and prepares the body to receive nourishment more deeply. When gratitude is present, tension begins to release and digestion becomes more harmonious even before the first bite is taken. Eating slowly in awareness allows the senses to awaken fully. The colors of the food become more vivid, its aroma more meaningful, its texture more alive. Each bite is no longer mechanical but intentional, as if the body is having a conversation with nature itself. In this state, overeating naturally reduces because the mind is no longer driven by greed or distraction. Instead, it listens to the body's true signals of satisfaction. Awareness also prevents the emotional habits of eating, those moments when food is used not for nourishment but for escape from stress, boredom, or sadness. When one is truly present, it becomes clear that the body needs care, not confusion. Gratitude further deepens this clarity. It turns even the simplest meal into something enough, removing the endless craving for more. Over time, this practice begins to reshape the body's internal balance. Digestion improves, energy becomes steadier, and the mind grows calmer. Illness often finds space in unconscious living where the body is ignored and overburdened. But when awareness enters, that space slowly disappears. Each meal becomes a reminder that life is already providing what is needed. Nothing extra is required for wholeness. In this understanding, food is no longer just fuel, it becomes a bridge between the body and the natural world. The act of eating becomes a meditation, and every bite is a return to presence. Keep food simple and natural. Choose light, unprocessed, and fresh foods to support the body's natural ability to restore balance and energy. To live with simplicity in eating is to return the body to its natural state of balance, where healing happens without struggle and energy flows without obstruction. The modern world often surrounds food with complexity, too many ingredients, too many processes, too many artificial additions that distance the body from what is truly natural. Yet the body itself is not designed for confusion. It understands purity more easily than excess, and it responds more quickly to what is close to nature. Simplicity begins by choosing food that is close to its original form. Grains that are whole, vegetables that are fresh, water that is clean, and meals that are prepared without unnecessary manipulation all support the body's inner strength. When food is stripped of its natural essence through heavy processing, the body must work harder to recognize and break it down. This creates unnecessary burden on digestion, slowly weakening the system over time. But when food is simple, the body recognizes it immediately, as if it remembers it from nature itself. There is also a quiet mental effect in simplicity. When meals are not overloaded with choices, flavors, and artificial stimulation, the mind becomes calmer. Craving begins to settle. Instead of constantly seeking variety and intensity, the senses begin to appreciate what is already present. This shift is subtle but powerful. The mind that once chased stimulation begins to rest in contentment, and when the mind is calm, the body follows. Simplicity in eating also reduces internal conflict. Often, people experience confusion after eating heavy or overly processed meals, fatigue, heaviness, or restlessness. These are signs that the body is struggling to maintain balance. Simple food reduces this struggle. It allows energy to remain steady rather than being consumed entirely by digestion. As a result, clarity increases and both physical and mental tiredness decreases. Over time, simplicity creates a natural discipline. One no longer eats out of impulse but out of understanding. The body begins to feel what supports it and what weakens it. This awareness does not come from strict rules but from gentle observation. The more simple the diet becomes, the more sensitive the body becomes to its own needs. Hunger becomes clearer, satisfaction becomes more natural, and overeating loses its hold. Simplicity is not about limitation, it is about removing what is unnecessary so that what is essential can flourish. In this way, eating becomes lighter, healing becomes faster, and life itself feels less burdened. The body, when treated with simplicity, begins to repair itself quietly, without force, returning again and again to its natural rhythm of health and balance. Practice moderation in eating. Eat only until gently satisfied, avoiding overeating so digestion remains strong and the body stays light. To practice moderation in eating is to understand the middle path where the body neither suffers from excess nor from lack. The body is like a lamp that burns steadily when given the right amount of oil but flickers and weakens when overloaded or deprived. In the same way, health is preserved when food is taken in balance, not in extremes. Overeating is one of the most common disturbances to natural health. When more food enters the body than it can properly process, digestion slows, energy becomes heavy, and the mind loses clarity. The system becomes occupied not with growth or repair, but with managing excess. This creates fatigue, dullness, and over time imbalance in the inner functions. Moderation prevents this burden before it begins. By stopping when the body is gently satisfied rather than completely full, one allows space for digestion to work smoothly and efficiently. There is also a deeper awareness that arises through moderation. At first, it may feel like restraint, but with practice, it becomes understanding. The body begins to communicate more clearly. A sense of comfort appears when enough has been eaten, and discomfort appears when excess is taken. Learning to listen to these signals is part of returning to natural intelligence. The body always knows its limit, but the mind often ignores it. Moderation is the practice of letting the body guide the mind rather than the other way around. Emotion plays a strong role in eating beyond need. Stress, boredom, sadness, or even excessive pleasure can lead to consumption that is not truly required. Moderation helps to interrupt this cycle. When one becomes mindful of how much is enough, food stops being a reaction and becomes a conscious choice. This shift brings emotional stability as well, because the habit of using food to fill inner emptiness slowly dissolves. Physically, moderation allows the digestive system to rest and repair. The body, like any system, needs time not only to work but also to recover. When it is not constantly overloaded, it begins to function with greater efficiency. Nutrients are absorbed more effectively, waste is eliminated more smoothly, and internal energy becomes more stable. Over time, this leads to a feeling of lightness in the body and clarity in the mind. Moderation is not about strict limitation or denial. It is about respect for the body's natural design. It recognizes that more is not always better, and that true nourishment comes from balance rather than abundance. When eating is guided by moderation, the body becomes neither burdened nor starved. Instead, it exists in a steady state of harmony where health is maintained effortlessly and naturally. Maintain regular and natural eating times, follow consistent meal timing to align the body's internal rhythm and support smooth biological function. To follow natural timing in eating is to align the body with the quiet rhythm that already exists in nature. Everything in life moves in cycles: the rising and setting of the sun, the changing of seasons, the flow of breath. The body is no different. It functions best when it is allowed to follow a steady pattern rather than being disturbed by constant irregularity. When eating occurs at random times, the inner systems become confused as if they are constantly preparing for something unpredictable. But when timing is respected, the body begins to relax into trust. Eating at consistent and appropriate times allows the digestive system to prepare itself in advance. The body is not just a passive receiver of food, it is an intelligent system that anticipates what is coming. When meals are taken at regular intervals, digestive energy becomes strong and efficient. Hunger arises naturally at the right time and satisfaction follows without struggle. This natural rhythm reduces unnecessary cravings and prevents the tendency to snack or eat out of habit rather than need. Irregular eating, on the other hand, weakens this rhythm. When food is consumed late at night or skipped during the day without awareness, the body loses its sense of order. Energy becomes scattered, digestion becomes inconsistent, and fatigue begins to accumulate. Over time, this disruption can affect not only physical health but also mental clarity. A restless eating pattern often leads to a restless mind. Natural timing also includes respecting the body's periods of rest. The body is designed to digest most efficiently during daylight hours when activity is higher and energy is more active. Eating heavily at night places strain on systems that are meant to slow down and repair. When the body is forced to work against its natural cycle, recovery becomes incomplete and heaviness remains in the system. Aligning meals with daylight supports both digestion and deep rest. There is also a subtle psychological effect in maintaining timing. When the body knows when it will be nourished, anxiety around food begins to decrease. The mind stops constantly thinking about the next meal and a sense of stability develops. This stability allows attention to shift away from consumption and toward living more fully in the present moment. Over time, regular timing becomes more than a habit, it becomes a form of inner discipline that strengthens both body and mind. Energy becomes predictable, moods become more balanced, and digestion becomes more efficient. The body no longer feels like it is being pushed in different directions, but instead moves in a steady, natural flow. When eating is aligned with natural timing, it is no longer controlled by impulse or chaos. It becomes part of a larger order already present in life. In this alignment, health is not forced, it arises on its own, quietly and steadily, as the body returns to its original rhythm. Be mindful and calm while eating. Eat slowly, without anger or distraction, so the body can fully absorb nourishment and promote deep healing. To be mindful while eating is to bring the full presence of the mind into the simple act of nourishment, transforming it from a mechanical habit into a living experience of awareness. In ordinary life, eating is often done while the mind is elsewhere, thinking about work, replaying memories, planning future tasks, or scrolling through endless distractions. In such a divided state, the body receives food, but the mind does not truly participate. This separation weakens the depth of nourishment, because the act of eating is not only physical but also deeply connected to attention and awareness. When mindfulness is present, every bite becomes an opportunity to reconnect body and mind in unity. The food is no longer rushed, it is received slowly, with full attention to its texture, temperature, taste, and aroma. Even the simplest meal becomes rich with experience when it is fully noticed. Chewing slowly allows the digestive process to begin properly in the mouth itself, reducing strain on the stomach and making absorption more efficient. In mindfulness, there is no need to hurry because the mind is not trying to escape the present moment. Instead, it rests with the act itself, observing without judgment. This presence naturally reduces overeating because awareness makes it easier to notice when the body is truly satisfied. Without mindfulness, the signal of fullness is often ignored, as the mind continues to seek pleasure beyond need. With mindfulness, that signal becomes clear and respected. Emotional eating also begins to lose its strength because awareness reveals the difference between physical hunger and emotional craving. Many times, the desire to eat is not born from the body but from the mind's attempt to fill emptiness, stress, or discomfort. When one is mindful, this truth becomes visible, and food is no longer misused as emotional escape. Instead, it returns to its proper role as nourishment. There is also a deeper stillness that develops through mindful eating. As attention remains with each bite, the mind gradually quiets, becoming less scattered and more centered. This calmness supports digestion and allows the body to process food without interference from stress or distraction. The environment itself may remain unchanged, but the inner experience transforms completely. Even noise or activity around does not disturb the sense of presence because awareness is anchored within the act of eating itself. Over time, mindfulness creates a natural respect for food. Wastefulness decreases, gratitude increases, and the relationship with nourishment becomes more balanced. The body begins to feel lighter, not because less is necessarily eaten, but because what is eaten is fully received. In this way, mindful eating becomes more than a practice, it becomes a way of living in which every meal is an opportunity to return to clarity, simplicity, and inner harmony.